I sensed something was wrong when I arrived at the restaurant, and the server inquired if I still needed a table for 5. I forced a smile and nodded, fully aware I shouldn't have. Growing up, I was taught that family always shows up, especially for life's big moments. Yet there I sat, alone in a corner booth by the window, nervously folding my napkin and glancing at my phone every few seconds like some anxious teenager on a first date. I even chuckled to myself, trying to act nonchalant. "They're just running late," I whispered as I ordered a drink I had no interest in. "I'm Eric, 33 years old. After nearly 10 years of grinding at the same mid-sized company, I finally landed the promotion I'd been chasing forever, Senior Project Director. It wasn't just a new title. It was proof. Proof of all the late nights I stayed up past midnight while my buddies were out having fun. Proof of every weekend I skipped drinks to finish another report. It was security. It was progress. It was mine. And I wanted to share it with the people who claimed they believed in me. My mom, my brother Jordan, my cousin Michelle, and Uncle Ray. They were my inner circle, the ones who said they were so proud of me last Christmas, the ones who teared up when I bought Mom a reliable car and covered the mortgage after Dad passed, the same ones who called me the family's anchor. 2 hours dragged by, no calls, no texts. The only thing buzzing on my phone was a bank app notification showing the restaurant bill creeping higher. I told the server to bring the main course. I was too humiliated to walk out, too stubborn to admit they'd ditched me. As I took the first bite of my steak, pretending I wasn't alone in an empty booth, my phone vibrated again. Family night out for the real success story. Attached was a photo, smiling faces, clinking wine glasses, my mom, Jordan, Michelle, and Uncle Ray, all dressed up at some beachfront grill. Jordan stood front and center, holding a key fob and flashing a goofy grin. Behind him, a gleaming jet ski on a trailer. The caption read, "He earned this. So proud of you, bro." I stared at that photo for what felt like an eternity. No mention of me. Not even a sorry will make it up to you. Just a big, happy family celebration for Jordan and his flashy new toy. Then I noticed Mom's message, sent an hour before the post. "You're not exactly a priority right now. We'll catch up soon. Enjoy your dinner." I couldn't decide what stung more, the casual tone or how practiced it felt, like she'd been waiting to say it. I paid the $1,940 bill, tipped 25% because the staff kindly pretended not to notice my solitude, and drove home in silence. When I got home, I didn't turn on the lights. I just sat on the edge of my bed, phone in hand, scrolling through memories like a wordless montage. Every grocery bill I'd covered. Every "I'll pay you back next week" that never happened. Every late-night emergency call that ended with me sending money, just until things stabilize. Every time Mom said Jordan was just finding his way. Every lie I told myself that I wasn't being taken for granted. I walked to my home office, logged into shared mortgage account I quietly funded for 3 years, and stared at the payment schedule, $1, $8.30 a month, auto-deducted from my paycheck every 10th. I opened a new browser tab, contacted the bank, and canceled it right then. Then I grabbed a sticky note, wrote 5 words, drove to the house I hadn't visited since Easter, and taped the note to the door. Let him pay it now. I didn't wait to see if anyone was home. I drove off, phone on silent. I went to bed without brushing my teeth or changing. The last thing I heard was my heartbeat pounding in my ears. By morning, my phone showed 81 missed calls. Mostly from Mom, a few from Jordan, 1 from Uncle Ray, and 3 texts from Michelle. "Call me now. Are you serious? And we need to talk." I didn't respond to any of them. I just scrolled through the missed calls, staring at the timestamps like they might piece together an apology that hadn't come. Then I noticed the voicemail icon. I hesitated. Hearing their voices felt weightier than reading their texts, like it would make everything too real. But curiosity got the better of me. I hit play, and what I heard made me clutch the nightstand until my knuckles whitened. It was Mom's voice, but not the warm, melodic one from my childhood bedtime stories, or the proud tone when I made the honor roll. This was cold, shrill, frantic. "Eric, what have you done?" The mortgage payment bounced. "The bank called this morning and said it didn't go through. I don't understand. Why would you do this without telling us? You knew we were relying on you. Your brother's finally doing well, and you're just being spiteful. Then, like some over-the-top TV drama, her voice dropped to a teary whisper. This isn't how family acts. I replayed that line. This isn't how family acts. Over and over, the irony cutting deeper each time. Jordan's voicemail came next. Bro, this is messed up. Mom's losing it. We were going to figure it out. We just needed a little time. You didn't have to pull the plug like that. Are you trying to make us lose the house? A little time. 3 years of payments. But apparently, I should have given them more. Michelle's voicemail didn't even try to soften the blow. Okay, wow. So you're punishing the whole family now? Over what? A dinner? Grow up. You always play the martyr, like you're the only one doing anything for anyone. Newsflash. You're not the only one who works hard. Jordan's been grinding too. He finally got a win, and we wanted to celebrate. Sorry your little job promotion got overlooked, but you didn't have to blow everything up over it. That one made me laugh. A sharp, bitter laugh. My little job promotion. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the quiet of my apartment. No family photos, no mementos from shared vacations, just a tidy space I paid for alone. It wasn't loneliness I felt, it was clarity. I finally saw the pattern I'd ignored for years. Jordan always got the spotlight, that he's just figuring it out, excuse that became the family mantra. When he flunked out of 2 colleges, when he crashed his first car, when he started 3 businesses and let them collapse without repaying a single loan, he was the dreamer, the one with potential. Meanwhile, I was a reliable one, the invisible safety net. They didn't cheer when I graduated early. They didn't throw a party when I paid off Mom's car or when I saved the house from foreclosure after Dad died. But they called me a good son in front of others. They loved the image of me as a steady provider, the quiet backbone of their chaotic, louder story, until I stopped. That afternoon, I finally picked up one call. Uncle Ray had always been the steadier type in the family. He stayed out of things, unless they escalated to a crisis point. I decided that if there was one person worth having a discussion with, it was him. Eric, he murmured, his tone quiet and strained. You need to have a word with your mom. Why? I responded, steady but straightforward, so she can pressure me into bailing them out once more. He let out a breath. She's in pieces. Claimed she had no clue how sidelined you felt. I let out a small laugh. She had no clue. Was she also unaware that she messaged me to declare I wasn't important? Ray had no reply to that. Only quiet. I allowed the moment to stretch. They have 30 days, I stated at last. That's the period before the bank sends the last alert. She's afraid they'll forfeit the home, he whispered. I lifted my shoulders, even if he couldn't witness it. Perhaps Jordan could unload the jet ski. Ray burst into laughter for real. Just a single time, quick and surprising. Then he coughed to regain composure. You're not kidding, right? For the first occasion in quite a while, he didn't push back against me. I believe in an odd sense he grasped it. Maybe he'd observed this unevenness himself, yet remained quiet. Maybe he'd stood in my shoes at some point, simply farther along the path. That evening later on, I received an extended note from Mom. She labeled it a mix-up. She explained she hadn't intended for the meal to become a rivalry. She attempted to gentle her phrasing. Even slipped in an "I'm proud of you," tucked away deep in the 5th section. But she wrapped it up with, don't allow this single error to destroy all we created as a family. Single error. That's when it dawned on me that we'd been constructing entirely separate realities. I'd been fostering reliability, duty, order. They'd been setting up ease, a setup that functioned provided I didn't challenge it. The instant I withdrew, it fractured. The following day, I reviewed the joint account. No deposits had occurred. Nobody had even attempted. They were holding out for me to give in and act maturely. That had forever been the pattern. I shut down the account completely. By midday, Michelle appeared at my place. Without invitation. She pounded on the door, and once I swung it open, she strode straight inside as if it were hers. We haven't discussed this, she declared, folding her arms. About what? About this petty outburst you're having. You're causing Mom pain. I gazed at her. Causing her pain? She sent me a message during the meal to inform me I wasn't significant while toasting Jordan, the one who hasn't covered a bill in ages. He purchased a jet ski, she yelled. He's treating himself to something. That's no offense. No, I replied deliberately, but acting as if that's a major accomplishment, while brushing aside all I've contributed to the family. That's the issue. She shot me a fierce look, so piercing. You constantly portray yourself as the injured party. No, I'm finished being the fool. She sneered. They're your relatives. They were, I murmured softly. Now they're simply individuals I once financed. That's when the yelling started outdoors. Jordan in the lot, striding back and forth by Mom's vehicle. I observed him from the glass, fingers raking his scalp, bellowing into his device. I didn't acquire the audio. I could imagine each phrase. And I stayed put because this time I wasn't the fixer. Michelle didn't depart immediately. She lingered there, eyeing me as if searching for former me, the version who would have expressed regret already, perhaps even suggested wiring some funds to smooth things over. I held my ground, arms folded, uttering nothing. She evidently saw I meant business because she eventually pivoted wordlessly and exited. No door bang, no theatrical closing line, just quiet. It felt like an odd serenity once she was gone. Not true tranquility, more like the hush following an extended tempest where you're uncertain if the clouds have parted or if more is approaching. I brewed some coffee. I settled on my patio. I observed the identical locals strolling their identical pets in their identical patterns. But my reality had altered. That midday, I got a message from my longtime buddy Cam. He'd shared a room with me during school. Understood my household setup more than many, though he'd only glimpsed the surface. Dude, everything all right? Your mom contacted my mom. Said you're experiencing a collapse. I looked at it briefly, then fired off a brief response. Nah, just finally came to my senses. He didn't probe deeper. Just replied with a thumbs-up symbol and a proud of you, man. That struck deeper than anticipated. Near 6 p.m., my device vibrated once more. This time, a FaceTime invite from Mom. I ignored it. Shortly after, a lengthy block of words arrived. She began gently, employing the affectionate, remorse-laced parental voice. Eric, darling, please don't let this escalate anymore. I realize events didn't unfold as you wished, but we were truly thrilled for Jordan. We didn't aim to eclipse you. Can we chat? Please, I'll prepare your beloved lasagna evening. Just us. We must mend this. Then, nearly like switching gears, the next section grew pointed. But terminating the mortgage was irresponsible. You endangered everyone. You lacked authority to decide solo on the property, particularly since you've been handling it by choice. This wasn't your load to abandon. By choice? That term stirred something in me. As though I casually dispensed $65,000 across 3 years, like it was loose coins I found en route to the office. No regret, no recognition, just demands. It echoed last Christmas when Jordan had presented Mom with a luxury purse, but charged it to my card unasked. It's simpler this way, he'd chuckled, as if it were a light-hearted joke. And Mom, she claimed I was exaggerating for insisting he'd give it back. It's kin, she had murmured, touching my arm. You always assist. It's simply your nature. But perhaps it wasn't required to be. That night later, I was browsing messages when a fresh one appeared. Heading, Alert of Transaction Failure, Ultimate Advisory. I accessed it. It was a formal 15-day alert prior to the loan hitting delinquency. I could nearly sense the alarm brewing nearby. I didn't respond. Instead, I accessed the outdated ledger I'd maintained, one untouched for months. Every bank send, every bill settlement, every short-term advance that stayed unpaid. Each line was precisely tagged, shaded by beneficiary. It spanned 10 complete sheets, exceeding $82,000 over the last 5 years. I gazed at the sum. Then I launched a new file, named it what I deserved for myself, and I started composing. It wasn't merely a monetary audit. It was intimate, heartfelt. For each instance I was interrupted during meals. For each will catch you later celebration. for each event I sponsored and was left out of. I hadn't grasped how burdensome the load was until I at last released it. That evening, I got a clip from Jordan. He was perched on the sofa, locks disheveled, cheeks red. "Man, what's your deal?" he uttered, tone quivering with pretended composure. "You're penalizing all over meal." Mature. "Yeah, we slipped, but this has Mom weeping constantly." Michelle was flooding my phone with messages, and now the bank was on the line too. Jordan glanced away briefly before saying, "Just reinstate the payments. We'll sort it out later." I stayed silent because they weren't interested in a real conversation. They just wanted to restore the old routine, plug the gap without fixing the root issue. 3 days went by. I went to work as usual. I picked up running again. I started making proper dinners. It was almost funny how much free time I suddenly had. No need to check if Jordan's car insurance was renewed or if Mom's power bill was settled. No more setting reminders for Michelle's rent. Each morning, I watched the family group chat spiral into chaos. Michelle renamed it emergency, then mortgage crisis, then family unity chat with a broken heart emoji. I muted it. I only checked it once to read a message from Uncle Ray. I told them this was coming. "You were never the soft one. You were just too giving." I saved that message. It was the first time anyone in the family had said it outright. The shift came on day 7. Mom appeared at my door, not alone. Jordan was with her, and he'd brought the jet ski, parked on a trailer right outside my apartment like some absurd gesture of reconciliation. She knocked once, then again. I didn't open the door. She called out, "Eric, honey, please, let's just talk." I peered through the peephole. Jordan was pacing, clutching a piece of paper, looked like a bank notice. Mom stepped back, staring straight at the door. "I know you're in there," she said softly. "You've made your point. We get it. You're upset, but don't toss out your family over one misstep." Another one misstep. That's when I saw she wasn't here for me. She was here to secure the mortgage, not to mend the hurt, not to address the years of being overlooked, just the payment. I didn't open the door that night. I stood there, watching through the peephole until Mom gave up and Jordan drove off in a sleek black truck, towing his ridiculous $9,000 apology. I wondered if he'd even paid the latest insurance on it. The next day was payday. For the first time in years, my account didn't show a massive withdrawal to cover a house I didn't live in. My paycheck felt substantial, like it belonged to me. I stared at the balance for a while, trying to recall the last time I'd looked at my own money and felt content. But the calm didn't last. By noon, the bank's collections team called. Mom's house was officially 2 payments behind, and the default process had begun. I wasn't legally responsible. I had taken my name off the mortgage years ago after covering too many temporary payments and realizing I was being pulled into more than I'd signed up for. Still, the bank tried. "I'm not the account holder," I told the woman evenly. "You'll need to reach out to the homeowner directly." There was a pause. Then she said something that lingered. "She told us you'd take care of it. Said you always do." That's when I realized Mom hadn't contacted the bank herself. She hadn't updated them about my stepping back. She just waited, assumed, expected I'd keep catching her fall. That evening, another knock came. This time, it was just Mom carrying a tote bag. "Eric," she said when I opened the door, "we need to talk." I didn't respond, just stepped aside to let her in. She walked in cautiously, like she was entering unfamiliar territory, glancing around as if expecting to see her pictures still on my walls. There weren't any. I gestured to a chair. She didn't sit. Instead, she stood by the window, looked out, then turned to me. "We're going to lose the house," she said, her voice breaking. I nodded. "I figured." "You could stop this," she said, her tone wavering. "You could call the bank and—" "No." I cut in, calm but firm. She blinked. "What?" I said no. "I'm not calling the bank. I'm not paying anything. I'm done." Her expression hardened. "This isn't just about money, Eric. It's about family." I nearly laughed. "Mom, during my promotion dinner, you texted me to say I wasn't a priority. Then you celebrated Jordan for buying a jet ski. You called that family. I call it a farce." She winced. "We didn't mean to hurt you." But you did, I said, and you didn't care until the bills stopped getting paid. Silence settled between us. She sank into the chair slowly, like the weight of it all was pulling her down. I didn't realize how much you were carrying, she whispered. That's the issue, I replied. You never wanted to see it. She shook her head, her voice barely audible. Jordan's not like you. He needs more support. No, Mom, I said firmly. He needs accountability. She looked up, eyes glistening. He's your brother, and I'm your son. She stared, and for once, there was no comeback, no rehearsed guilt trip, just the raw truth hanging between us. I didn't want to believe you'd abandon us like this, she murmured. I didn't abandon you. I corrected. I stopped being taken advantage of. She swallowed hard. What do we do now? You figure it out, I said, like I did, like adults do. She blinked, then looked away. For a moment, I saw her not as my mother but as a person, flawed, frightened, and unprepared for reality she created. When she got up to leave, she didn't hug me or cry or raise her voice. She just picked up her bag and paused at the door. Is this really over? She asked. I thought about the birthdays I spent alone, the holidays, tuition, medical bills I covered, the times I was asked to step aside while no one made room for me. It's the end of me pretending this was love, I said quietly. She nodded, didn't argue, and walked out. That should have been the end, but it wasn't. 10 days later, Jordan showed up, not at my apartment, but at my workplace. I was in a meeting when my phone buzzed with a text from the receptionist. A man's in the lobby asking for you. Says it's urgent. Jay,